Kaleo speaking from Lomilomi, Melbourne with Kumu, Tracey, Ha'aoLakainapali and Kaleo. Kumu Tracey is a practitioner and teacher of Lomilomi since 20 years. And Kaleo is Alakai, 8 years at least. And we are here today to speak a little bit about Lomilomi and how Lomilomi changed our life.
And enhanced our lives.
So, Kumu, just quickly, how is Lomilomi changed your life?
Well, I guess changed and enhanced in that living Aloha and the Hawaiian teachings has just made life really easy. The Aloha and Lomilomi are such deep healing practices really of themselves, and I had a very strong background since my early 20s in different spiritual and healing modalities, and prior to Lomilomi coming into my life, I was working with psychotherapy, counselling. Then when I went to Hawaii and connected with your teachings there, they just made so much sense to me, and it was like the big missing piece of the puzzle for me from that spiritual perspective. And yeah, my life just took off in a direction that I had never foreseen, and I'm very grateful for that. And this is how I live every day. You know, Lomilomi, or the way of Aloha, if you like, is not something I do, it's something I live every day. It's a way of life, is the simple way to say that.
And for me, I very much agree with Kumu in that, living Aloha is an incredible way to live.
What is exactly living Aloha?
For me, that goes back to what came in before was really how it plays out is joyfully, but very much with that awareness of a connection to the spirit in everyone and everything. So for me, that has meant becoming more awake and more aware in my life. It's very much transformed the relationship I have with myself, and from that, of course, the relationship I have with others. Certainly through discovering Lomilomi and the many visits that I've made to Hawaii, discovering a very strong connection with the energy there and the people there, the culture and spirituality. And for myself, when I first met Kumu in 2008 and did her Lomilomi training, I was kind of more going on that way of I wanted to learn massage, and I knew a little bit about Lomilomi and what I'd heard appealed to me, and from all experience I just completely was funneled down this vortex into just wanting to learn as much as I could about the Lomi and about the Hawaiian way of healing, and I guess the Hawaiian way of thinking and being. So in 2009 I actually formally asked Kumu if I could become her hamana, her student, and we made that formal commitment to each other, which is the commitment of the hamana is to learn, and also to serve the Kumu.
Mm.
And the commitment of the Kumu is to teach. And so since that day, that's very much what our relationship has been. In 2011, when Kumu to start the halal, she informed me that I was now Alakai. So it's like, okay. So that, again, my understanding of that is that Hamana, I'm still very much a student, still very much learning on the job, so to speak. And again, my primary responsibilities are to learn and to serve my kumu. And for me as Alakai, that means very much taking care of all the details that then frees Kumu up to do what she does and what she's here to do, which is to teach and to pass on those teachings in that way in which she received them.
Mm.
Yeah.
It seems like a daily practice, not just a workshop practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And I think my first exposure to that and that concept was in the beginning of 2009. I actually went to Molokai to a training that Kumu was assisting on, and I was actually able to see with one of the Hawaiian Kumu who was involved with that training, his relationship with his hamana, and that he was passing on his teachings to his hamana, and I actually got to see what that relationship was and the level of commitment in that. And there was something about that months after that training that really, I guess, had stayed. It was very much to learn, and obviously in a Western context we don't really have that. It's like, yeah, you go and do a workshop or a training, or obviously in the healing arts we don't apprentice to anybody, whereas in traditional ways of healing, that's exactly what you do, is you go and apprentice to the healer and you stay with them for as long as it takes, and that may even be 20 years. So yeah, very much for me in that sense, it's not just about Lomi as in when I put my hands on somebody, because that's not for me necessarily a daily practice. It's day to day in my life, in myself, in my relationship with Kumu. How am I living? Where's my pono? Yeah. Yeah.
It's just another world in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and Lomilomi therefore is, I guess, in some ways a tangible expression for people of that, and of assisting people with understanding some aspects of Hawaiian healing and spirituality and culture as well. And with that understanding too, that I would always suggest for anybody who's seeking a Lomilomi practitioner or teacher to ask them a few questions about what their background is. Where in Hawaii have they studied and trained? What Hawaiians have they trained with? And how often do they reconnect with Hawaii? And again, that's that understanding of, say, somebody who is really of walking the talk. They live and breathe, or is it something that they incorporate into another practice?
And there is many different practices of Lomilomi. like Lomilomi temple style, Lomilomi no Kauna massage. What is the main, I mean, not if there is different, but what is the same root, you can say?
Traditionally, well, with any Hawaiian healing practice, there's many different lineages. With Lomi, for example, is that the traditions were very much taught within the family. So there's the different family traditions. There's the masters of Lomilomi. Now, a master of anything in Hawaiian is called a kahuna. So there is a kahuna of Lomilomi, there's a kahuna of canoe building, a kahuna of Ha'aoLakainapali, herbal medicine, a kahuna of astronomy, a kahuna of navigation. So a kahuna is a master of something. Within, I guess, particularly in Western culture, there's been a little bit of a straying away from the essence of what are the real foundations at times of Lomilomi. And there is a phrase in Hawaiian, Nana Kumu, which means look to the source. So for me, it's not, say, a label of something is not the important thing. It's what is the source of those teachings? Where has that person studied? Where have they learnt from? What is their connection with the Hawaiian Kupuna, with Hawaiians in general, with the Aina? That in Western society there's been a bit of a spandexing of to try and fit into what a Western mindset is. So, there has been some distillation of teachings. That's not only with Lomilomi, that's with Ho'oponopono, that's with the use of the Valapahaku, the hot stones, that Western minds have sort of tried to label things and put them in a way a Western mind would understand without really honouring Hawaiians. So for me, what is the source is the thing that we need to seek. Who are the native Hawaiians who you've learnt from? So again, there's different lineages. They will take many different forms of styles of Lomi. But for me, it comes back to what is the source, who and what is the source of that lineage.
And this soul, the life force that is the one help you during the practice, or how you bring this life force into the massage?
People often see Lomilomi as a technique of a set of movements, if you like, whereas that's really, in some ways, a very small part of the massage, of the practice. Connecting with Na Kūpuna, the gods and goddesses, Na Kūpuna, the ancestors, that's the real foundation of any healing practice. So whether it be with pule, with oli, with prayer or chant, utilising the soul cleansing, purifying, working with the Ha breath, the breath of life, which is that pure breath. These are all the really vital aspects. Working with Ho'oponopono to assist the client to make right more right, or the extension of that being Ho'oponopono Keala, the path or their path. So as a Lomi practitioner, our connection with spirit with the ancestors is vital, because it's really them that's guiding the work and guiding the healing. So they're helping work on that deeper level of helping with the Ho'oponopono, of helping clear the way for the person.
And what makes the pule and the oli so powerful?
When you make that connection fully with the depth of a pule or an oli, and remembering too that the Hawaiian, any words actually, they have what we'll call sort of a surface level meaning. However, there's layers, deeper layers of meaning, and for me, that's what they instill, is really getting into the depths of that connection with the ancestors. A pule or an oli, when you hear it and when you do that yourself from that place of that real core connection and that real understanding of who you're calling on, and that you're recognizing that spirit, you're calling on the ancestors, you're recognizing the spirit in everything that's around us and acknowledging the spirit within everything. There's something that takes over you, that comes out of you, that it's not something that comes from here or just from the throat, it's from the core of your being. And when you hear somebody, oli or pule, that has that connection, you'll get chicken skin. It's probably the easiest way to describe it. So the oli and the pule are very much that core of that connection with the ancestors who are ever present.
Yeah, when we pull our oli, it's our heart breath that energizes it. It's what's the phrase one of your Kumu said, the life force energy that rides on the breath.
Yes.
So it's like these words, which in the Hawaiian language the words are, as Henry says, the words are kupuna engineered. So the actual Hawaiian language has been engineered in a way that the words themselves have very positive, they create positive energy just by us speaking them. So when we oli or pule, particularly in the Hawaiian language, that energy is released and activated and transmitted into the universe. And obviously in a Lomi session, the person requiring healing receives that energy as well.
It's also part of the protocol, no?
Yeah, and the protocols, or protocol in general, is such an important aspect, and really, protocol, say in a Western way, is kind of misunderstood. If we want to use a word, protocol is really respect. And protocol is very much the foundation of any healing practice. It's that protocol of being present with the being on the table. It's the protocol of calling in the ancestors, knowing that it's actually them that guide the session. The protocol is the absolute foundation of doing what is pono, doing what is right, what is in the excellence. So whatever those protocols are for you, to connect, to be present, to show up in the clearest way that you can are really vital. And you know, there's protocols that different people will do, but again, it's about the intent with which you do that too, and that you're doing it from that real depth of foundation, not simply saying words just for the sake of saying them, that there's a real understanding and a real connection that is made to open the way, particularly with Lomi, to open the way for Spirit to come in and do their work, do their hana.
One way I've heard protocol described, which I really love because it's very simple, is that in its essence, any protocol, whatever purpose it's for, is we ask permission and we give thanks. So to me, that really boils it down to what we're doing, and that it's, you know, by that we're essentially acknowledging that everything's alive. So whether we're dealing with a person on our Lomi table, or whether we're in a natural environment and we just want to enter into that environment in a way that's respectful. That's the basic essence of what we're doing, is that we ask permission and we give thanks.
And that it's from that understanding of honouring and paying respect too.
The base of Aloha.
Yeah.
And this is also why the Hawaiian is so connecting with the ancestor.
For the Hawaiian peoples, the ancestors are very much present. They're very alive. They're part of their ohana, their family. So even though they may have walked the rainbow or changed address and are now in spirit form, they're still very present and very alive. So for the Hawaiians, that honouring as being very present, and also with the Kūpuna, the elders who are still with us, that absolute respect for the journey that they've walked and the wisdom that they have, and that real reverence for the wisdom of the elders, which we have lost very much in Western society. And there is great respect within Hawaii for the Kūpuna, and particularly the Kūpuna who are Kumu as well, and for any Kumu, there is great respect there. So whether they are still present here in physical form, or if they are in spirit form, it's still ohana, it's still family, and the aloha and the respect that goes with that, and the honouring with that as well.
For me, I think too, part of the that valuing of the kupunas, and you know that they're the wisdom keepers and the knowledge keepers, is very much about that preservation of knowledge down through the generations in the Hawaiian culture too, and even just on a purely physical level, when you think that the Hawaiian Islands are, you know, the most isolated place on earth, you know, up until a couple hundred years ago, it's so isolated. Although we know, of course, there was voyaging between other Pacific nations with them, but these islands were able to support, you know, within a very finite landmass, an incredible thriving population. You know, it was a very large population. They were able to, you know, grow a surplus of food. You know, they were able to malama to nurture their natural resources and increase them, with their fishing and agriculture, and so the knowledge that it took to do that was passed down through generations. So given that it was an oral culture, they never wrote anything down a couple hundred years ago. That knowledge was transmitted by the older generations. So to me, that speaks to one aspect of why the elders are valued as much as they are. And certainly in modern times now, with the revival of the interest and the kind of mission now to really bring back and revitalise, not just to preserve but to carry forward as a living culture, the Hawaiian culture. Again, it's from a lot of the kupunas that the knowledge has come forth and been shared, not just within the Hawaiian community, but certainly in the case of Lomilomi, out into the broader world community by the.
And often called the massage of transformation.
Because of that connection with spirit, with the ancestors, and the power of the heart breath and the protocols, and the connection of the practitioner, that the transformation comes from that place of helping to clear, to colour and to oki a lot of the same mental emotional issues that people stress. Any physical unwellness or disharmony has its roots in mental emotional stuff that we're hanging on to, things that are out of harmony, whether it's within us and our thoughts or relationships that we have. So the transformation can come because we work on those deeper levels, and our intent is to help clear the way to Ha'aoLakainapali path within, and to help harmonise. The transformation comes very much from that release of the stuck energy, the stagnant energy, the stagnant emotions, that aspect is a sort of ho'oponopono of addressing any relationships that are out of harmony, which can be our relationship with ourselves or relationships around us. So from that traditional way of, that phrase of, in Western terms, you to somebody and they'll go, yeah, I'm fine, good, and won't answer the question really. And in Hawaiian now, the phrase that you'll often hear is somebody will say, "Pahea oi," which is similar thing, how are you? In traditional times, that would have been Pahea kopiko, which is how are your relationships to those areas, being piko, and the relationships that they represent. So that being the piko of the crown, the piko of the navel, the na'au, and the genital piko. So how are those relationships to the ancestors, to the past, if you like, to the current relationships, and therefore to the future relationships and future generations. So, what are those things that perhaps we're ignoring, that we're holding on to, that we've not been pono with, and that we need to make pono, that we need to ho'oponopono, that we need to clear the path within us. So that's where the transformation comes. We release, we colour those, that stuff. Let it go. We make it pono. we allow ourselves to release that. So as a practitioner, we are the vehicle for allowing the client to do that release. We're not doing that, we're not forcing that, we're simply having that connection with the ancestors that will then allow that energy to come through to assist with that healing. And, you know, the person in some way is ready for that because they've shown up at your door and they've got on your table.
So as a practitioner, it's very important that your mana become very strong and clear connection.
Yeah, it's really important for practitioners to have their own daily practices, to clear their own, to Ho'oponopono themselves. You know, Ho'oponopono can be a daily practice for any practitioner, especially when you've been working with people, making sure your cords are clear, to make sure that you're the best, showing up in the fullness of your mana the best you can be. So that's on a physical level, mental level, emotional level, spiritual level, health and well-being. What are you fueling this kino? What are you fueling your body with? Physically, with food, from spiritual practices. What spiritual practices are you doing to maintain that, to make sure that you're in your mana iho, your self-empowerment, and the fullness of that mana, so that when you put your hands on somebody, you are clear, and you are that clear vehicle for Na Kūpuna to be able to come through and to work through you. So our daily maintenance and practice with that is really important.
What is your vision for the future of Lomilomi?
For me, I guess this has been my quest in the last 20 plus years, is to perpetuate and honour and share Aloha and Lomilomi and all Hawaiian cultural traditions and practices in a way that is bring to the source, to the peoples of Hawaii, and to be that voice for them. So my vision for Lomilomi in the future, and for all Hawaiian healing and cultural practices, is that the essence and the purity of that is being valued and is being heard, and not being distilled or misappropriated in the ways that it certainly has over the years for commercial and marketing reasons. There certainly has been over the last few years, people are becoming a louder voice now with speaking up when they see things that are not pono. And I guess the recent issues with Mauna Kea brought such a unification of the Hawaiian people and speaking up for pono. And for me, that was perhaps really opening the gates of standing up and being that voice with other people who share Hawaiian practices, of making sure that they're pono with those practices and that they are reflective of honouring the native Hawaiian peoples, and looking to the source. Sharing the information, sharing the aloha in a way that is pono.
Let's share them with the world.
Yes, yeah. Lomilomi is a gift. Well, Hawaiian healing, Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian spirituality is to the world. And that the Hawaiian peoples and many Indigenous peoples are now being honoured and respected for their wisdom and their practices, and that is my hope, that's my vision, that those practices are given the respect that they deserve.
I hope that many people can come with us and paddling in this kind of...
Yes, yes, and certainly having people such as yourself who have travelled many miles also to keep adding to your learning of Pono and Aloha. It's an ongoing journey. Hawaiian healing and cultural practices, whilst I've been learning and studying for well over 20 years, I will be doing that, until I draw my last half breath as well. That there is so much to learn and to know, and I certainly value all of my Hawaiian Kumu, those who have walked the rainbow and those who are still with us. They are a precious, priceless gem that we have, and we really value and respect that. So to continue seeking the learning and the honouring.
It's a journey.
Excuse me.
What the?
Made him cry.
Oh,
It's a journey, no destination.
Paddling is respect.
Clearing.
Okay. I will say thank you very much for your time. Mahalo.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah.
This sharing your knowledge with us and with me and with the Italian people and everyone that will be watching this video.
Yeah. And you're very welcome, and to share with people such as yourself who are doing Pono and still continue to do that, is an absolute joy. And what Aloha and being Pono is about getting information out there into the world so people can embrace and understand and learn those traditions that are so life-changing and so empowering.
Like Kumu Mahalian said, it's not easy, but it's doable.
Yes.
Can do.
Can do. Yes. Yeah. So, everybody can jump in that canoe and start to paddle in Aloha.
Yeah. Okay. We should bring more canoe around.
Yeah. Big canoe. Yeah.
Okay. Mahalo.
Mahalo and aloha to everybody out there.
Aloha.